Welcome to Cineights, where you get to know the best movies and series. Today's video is about top 10 best European films of 2023. I hope you enjoy this video. Be sure to watch until the end because I'm sure you will like it. Please subscribe to the channel and like the video. Anatomy of a Fall, by France. First things first. The recent winner of the Prix Lumière 2023 makes his comeback with a film shot in a Japan he knows well, in which he recreates for us in all its simplicity and complexity through the story of Hirayama, who works in the toilets department of the city of Tokyo. Through his daily life, which is as humble and orderly as music paper, and his attitude to life, which brings him serenity and peace of mind, attentive to the beauty of the world, from the nature he photographs to the books he collects. Wenders succeeds in capturing the unspeakable, the sound of a leaf like a low-angled ray in the setting sun, and in so doing renders the beauty of the world in all its purity and clarity. In short, a humanist and philosophical film, one of those rare works that lifts us up by capturing the best of humanity. Filmmaker's gift, like the magnificent last shot, luminous, musical and elegiac all at once, very Wendersian in any case, and which I won't divulge, if only to make you want to go and see this film, released in the autumn and certainly still showing on the big screen in a cinema near you. Perfect Days, by Germany and Japan. First things first. The recent winner of the Prix Lumière 2023 makes his comeback with a film shot in a Japan he knows well, in which he recreates for us in all its simplicity and complexity through the story of Hirayama, who works in the toilets department of the city of Tokyo. Through his daily life, which is as humble and orderly as music paper, and his attitude to life, which brings him serenity and peace of mind, attentive to the beauty of the world, from the nature he photographs to the books he collects. Wenders succeeds in capturing the unspeakable, the sound of a leaf like a low-angled ray in the setting sun, and in so doing renders the beauty of the world in all its purity and clarity. Short, a humanist and philosophical film, one of those rare works that lifts us up by capturing the best of humanity. A filmmaker's gift, like the magnificent last shot, luminous, musical and elegiac all at once, very Wendersian in any case, and which I won't divulge, if only to make you want to go and see this film, released in the autumn and certainly still showing on the big screen in a cinema near you. Four Daughters, by France, Tunisia, Germany and Saudi Arabia. This is perhaps our favorite film of the year, seen in competition at Cannes and, shame on the jury, going home empty-handed. Kauthar Ben Hania is no novice, having already stunned the world with Le Chalet de Tunis in 2015, a mockumentary based on a news item and already devilishly well put together, revealing the virtuosity of the young Tunisian woman in her 40s to play with representations and inextricably blend reality and fiction. A tour de force completely mastered for Four Daughters, recounting the director's attempt to portray, with some of the real protagonists, what happened to Olfa, a single Tunisian mother, two of whose daughters left for the jihad, a story that made headlines in Tunisia in the mid-2010s. Olfa becomes the character of the film in the making, in the intimacy of an all-female family. We enter a women-friendly environment, as the director herself puts it, at the very heart of a Muslim world that rarely gives women the opportunity to express themselves about their condition and what they are going through. Fallen Leaves, by Finland and Germany. This is perhaps the most touching and moving film in this selection. A Charlie Chaplin-style tale, but set in Finland today, a love story between two lonely proletarian losers, Ansa and Holappa, tossed about by life, who have to face up to the harshness of a pitiless world and the implacable law of the market that pushes them to the back of society. A contemporary version of modern times, but far removed from the hyper-connected world and social networks. No networks here, no artifacts, but social and poetic, such as the credo of the great Kaurismäki, a filmmaker whose heart overflows like the glasses he fills for his character Holappa, a melancholic romantic waiting for true love. There is not an ounce of misery in his cinema, and on the contrary there is a beauty and humor in the characters and situations that is reminiscent of a poem by Jacques Prévert with a Scandinavian twist. It's a heartwarming film that's a joy to be a part of, lulled by the gentleness and simplicity of the love that must win out in the end. How to Have Sex, by United Kingdom, Greece and Belgium. This is undoubtedly the best first film of the year, from a young British director whose follow-up we can't wait to see. It's full of sensitivity and, above all, a great ability to capture the ever-fragile, ever-changing, ever-difficult zeitgeist. Molly Manning Walker takes us along with her heroine and her friends on what the Anglo-Saxons call a coming-to-age movie, a film about initiation and learning, at the age of first sexual feelings, with the question of consent and its gray areas constantly in the background, multiplied by the way others look at you, especially in the age of social networks. In short, this is a film that is totally in tune with the times, choosing the sour over the sweet, the lucidly melancholy over the carefree. And above all, avoiding any moralism. Hedonistic and materialistic environment, there are many injunctions to let oneself go and enjoy oneself without hindrance, poorly concealing the rampant misogyny and patriarchy. How to Have Sex is a title without a question mark. There is no one way to make love, the question is how to do it. The film is definitely a must-see for all teenagers. Oppenheimer, by United States and England. It's our blockbuster of the list, but Christopher Nolan has the particularity of being a faithful servant of Hollywood while at the same time being one of the most singular and brilliant auteurs of his generation. Following in the footsteps of his many futuristic films, he has now delivered a biopic of great power, both in terms of narrative and form. Oppenheimer, the father of the atomic bomb, was not an easy character to grasp, full of contradictions and doubts, but Nolan's success lies in not wishing to cast all the many shadows over this brilliant inventor of the greatest weapon of mass destruction ever devised by man. Instead, he chooses to show the complexity of the man and his times through a story that draws on many layers. It has to be said that in Cillian Murphy, the British-American director has found the ideal pearl. Also spotted in Peaky Blinders, he has already played under Nolan in Inception and the Dark Knights trilogy, blending perfectly into his universe where reality is never what you think it is. On the Adamant, by France and Japan, it's not the first time that a documentary has won a top award at a major festival, but the fact is rare enough to be highlighted with the Golden Bear awarded at the beginning of 2023 to Nicolas Philibert and his exemplary, On the Adamant. Adamant is the name of a psychiatric day hospital that not only has the unique feature of being a boat moored on the Quai de Seine, but is also an open space where the boundary between patients and carers is not necessarily visible. A floating utopia, unique, but one that seems to work. It's a Noah's Ark for those who can't fit in, those who are always a little outcast, those who are deficient in our modern societies. You can feel the freedom of the camera and the freedom of speech, thanks to the closeness that seems to have been created between the small film crew and the passengers on the Adamant. In the end, this is a film of rare intimacy, in which what is said resembles lucid confessions that may remain in suspense or end in a burst of laughter. La Chimera, by Italy, Switzerland and France, with 3 films that unashamedly deserve to be in this top 10, Italian cinema is back in 2023, and in fine style. For one thing, Nanni Moretti is taking us towards a radiant future, by returning to his favorite pastimes, cinema, politics, psychoanalysis and love. In short, his Roman cuisine is as tasty as ever, and also with Marco Bellocchio, who in The Abduction, digs deeper into his political historical cinema, which never ceases to revisit Italian history, and in particular its darkest episodes, such as the true story of the abduction of a young Jewish child, taken from his family by the Catholic Church and the ogre Pius IX, whose pontificate was the longest of the papacy. It's another film that finally wins our votes as one of the best of the year, La Chimère, by Alice Roachwatcher, which once again distills something new in contemporary cinema, a form of freedom in the storytelling and a communicative desire for the collective. Its characters are reminiscent of a troupe straight out of a Fellini film by portraying a British archaeologist who has to contend with a gang of tomb robbers and a fair few chimeras. Roachwatcher inevitably revisits certain ancient European myths. The Taste of Things, by France and Belgium. This film is a bit of a critic's darling, first decried at Cannes for its director's prize, though deserved because of its sensual, enveloping way of filming the stoves and the love that speaks for itself between Dodin, an outstanding gastronome, and his cook, the executor of his culinary fantasies, then contested for its Oscar nomination under the French banner in the Best International Film category. It has just made the short list of the 15 best films of the year and has every chance of being one of the 5 finalists. But let's ignore the critics, and let the viewer revel in this feast for the senses, this apology for good food and extravagant meals, served up masterfully by a duo who were great in the city and who were great again on the big screen, in the intimacy of their pots and pans. Juliette Binoche and Benoit Magimel never overdo it, and their complicity is obvious. An Hung makes the most of this 3-star couple, particularly in the character of Eugenie, a woman who values her freedom and, above all, her job as a cook. Menus Plaisirs, Les Troisgros, by France and Belgium. In a radically different register, but also marked by excellence, Menus Plaisirs, Les Troisgros is, as its title suggests, a kind of documentary biopic on the Troisgros house, which has had 3 Michelin stars for 55 years, filmed by one of the greatest living masters of documentary, Frederick Wiseman, 93, who once again brings a fresh perspective to his subject. In just 4 hours, the length of a gourmet meal, no less, he delivers a kaleidoscopic, impressionistic film that, in successive strokes, paints a hyper-realistic picture of life in a top restaurant, from the reception room to the vegetable garden and the market, not forgetting, of course, the kitchens, a nuclear reactor where food becomes a marvel. Beyond that, it's the portrait of an exceptional family, heir to a know-how and a love of local produce that the film manages to capture. Taking us along for the ride in the company of Charolais cows whose grass is as green as it is fat, to kidneys with passion fruit that seem to propel those who taste them into another galaxy.